Life is a beautiful journey, but along the way we meet people who leave footprints on our hearts. Some footprints bring joy, warmth, and inspiration, while others leave scars, pain, and confusion. Today I want to talk to you about something many of us struggle with: letting go of people who keep hurting us. We often hold on to relationships out of fear of loneliness, fear of confrontation, or fear of losing memories that we once cherished. But here's the truth. Holding on to those who hurt you is like holding a hot coal, hoping the other person will get burned. The only person who suffers is you. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring or that you fail. It means you value yourself enough to protect your peace, your energy, and your heart. It means recognizing your worth and refusing to let someone else's actions define your happiness. When you let go, you create space. Space for love that nourishes, friendships that uplift, and experiences that make life richer. Letting go is not about giving up on people. It's about giving yourself permission to grow, to heal, and to live fully. It's okay to feel sadness, grief, or guilt when you let go. That's part of being human. But remember, healing comes when you stop trying to fix people who are not ready to change, and instead focus on fixing your own heart. Life is too short to spend it carrying the weight of others' negativity. Surround yourself with those who bring light, laughter, and learning. Those who lift you, not weigh you down. And always remember, letting go is not a weakness. It's one of the bravest acts of self-love. So take a deep breath, release what no longer serves you. Step into the freedom of a heart unburdened, ready to embrace joy, peace, and relationships that truly matter. Because you deserve happiness, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to let go. Recognizing toxicity in our relationships is perhaps one of the most difficult, yet most important skills we can develop in life. It's not always obvious because often the people who hurt us are not doing it intentionally, or at least that's what we tell ourselves. We may convince ourselves that their harsh words, cold behavior, or subtle disregard is temporary, that it's just a phase, or that things will change if we try harder. And so, we hold on, hoping that love, patience, or loyalty will transform the situation. But the truth is, toxicity doesn't always announce itself loudly. Often it creeps in slowly, like water seeping through cracks, gradually weakening the foundation of our emotional well-being, until one day we realize we've been carrying a weight far heavier than we should. Toxicity can take many forms. It may be constant criticism that erodes your self-confidence. It may be manipulation that makes you doubt your own judgment. It may be neglect or indifference that leaves you feeling invisible and unworthy. Sometimes it even masquerades as concern or care disguised in guilt, obligation, or control. The challenge lies in seeing it clearly, without excuses, without rationalizations. Recognizing toxicity is about being honest with ourselves about the patterns we tolerate. It's about observing how we feel after interacting with certain people. Do we feel drained, anxious, or small? Or do we feel uplifted, inspired, and valued? Our emotions are powerful indicators. If you consistently feel the former, it's a red flag that something is wrong. Many of us struggle with recognizing toxicity because we fear the consequences of acknowledgement. We worry about confrontation, rejection, or losing someone we've invested time and emotion into. There's also a deep-seated belief that enduring pain for the sake of relationships is noble, that sacrifice is proof of loyalty or love. But endurance without awareness is not strength, it's suffering. True strength begins with awareness, with clarity, and with the courage to look honestly at the people around us and the impact they have on our hearts. Another challenge is that toxic people often make us question ourselves. They might shift blame, use guilt, or create confusion, making us wonder if we are overreacting or being too sensitive. This is precisely why recognizing toxicity is not about the other person's justification. It's about your own truth. You are not obligated to accept behavior that consistently hurts, undermines, or diminishes you. Accepting toxicity is not love. It is tolerance of harm, and over time, it chips away at your confidence, your peace, and your joy. Learning to recognize toxicity also requires patience and self-reflection. It may take repeated experiences, inner dialogue, and even guidance from trusted friends to truly see what has been hidden under layers of habit, loyalty, and hope. But once you do recognize it, something remarkable happens. You reclaim the power that was unconsciously given away. You realize that your happiness, your peace, and your self-respect are non-negotiable. You understand that identifying toxicity is not about judgment or punishment. It's about clarity and protection. It's about creating the foundation for a life where relationships nourish rather than deplete, where people add to your light instead of casting shadows over it. Valuing your peace is one of the most profound choices you can make in life. Yet, so often we take it for granted, treating it as if it will always be there, only to realize one day that we've been giving it away to people, situations, and circumstances that never deserved it. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is a state of being where your mind feels calm, your heart feels light, and your spirit feels unburdened. When you lose this, even small challenges become mountains and tiny irritations feel like storms. That is why protecting your peace is not selfish. It is essential for a life of balance, joy, and fulfillment. Many of us, however, compromise our peace because we mistake busyness, chaos, or constant interaction for connection or love. We try to please everyone, answer every call, attend every meeting, and tolerate behavior that chips away at our calm, believing that endurance is a virtue. But the truth is, endurance without boundaries is a form of suffering disguised as duty. Each time you ignore your discomfort, tolerate disrespect, or accept negativity, you are silently telling yourself that your well-being is secondary. And over time, this erosion accumulates, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and disconnected from yourself. Valuing your peace begins with awareness. It requires asking yourself simple yet powerful questions. How do I feel after spending time with this person? Or does this situation nourish my soul or drain it? Am I carrying stress or resentment that I don't need to? Your answers are often revealing. True peace is felt internally. It is not about what others say or do, but how you respond and protect your inner world. Once you acknowledge that your peace is precious, it becomes easier to make choices that honor it, even if those choices are difficult. This doesn't mean avoiding life's challenges or turning away from responsibilities. It means making conscious decisions to step back from what is harmful and step toward what brings balance and calm. It means choosing silence over arguments, boundaries over overextension, and self-respect over approval seeking. When you value your peace, you begin to understand that saying a no is not rejection, it is affirmation of your worth. Walking away from toxic conversations, ungrateful people, or draining environments is not cowardice. It is courage, because it takes bravery to protect your emotional and mental well-being in a world that constantly tests it. Valuing your peace also transforms your relationships. When you honor your calm and composure, you attract people who respect it, and naturally, the ones who cannot respect it drift away. This is not punishment, it is alignment. Life becomes less about constant struggle with negativity and more about harmony, growth, and meaningful connection. Your peace becomes a lighthouse, guiding you toward experiences, opportunities, and people that genuinely uplift you, and away from those that destabilize you. Ultimately, valuing your peace is a lifelong practice. It requires courage, self-awareness, and often the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But the reward is immeasurable. A peaceful mind allows clarity, a light heart allows love, and a balanced spirit allows resilience. Protecting your peace is the gift you give not only to yourself but to the world, because when you are calm and centered, your presence alone inspires and uplifts others. Understanding your worth is one of the most transformative realizations you can have in life. Many of us go through years of seeking validation from others, trying to earn love, attention, or respect that we already deserve simply by being ourselves. We let others dictate how we feel about ourselves, what we deserve, what we should tolerate, and how much of our time and energy is worth giving winner. But the moment you truly understand your worth, everything changes. You no longer allow people to define your value. You start defining it for yourself. You begin to see that your happiness, your self-respect, and your dreams are not negotiable commodities. They are your birthright. Understanding your worth does not mean arrogance or pride. It means recognizing that you are inherently valuable, that your emotions, your boundaries, and your well-being are important. When someone repeatedly hurts you, belittles you, or disrespects you, it is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a reflection of their inability to treat others with kindness or integrity. Knowing your worth allows you to step back and say, I deserve better. It empowers you to make choices that protect your heart rather than expose it to unnecessary pain. Many people fail to recognize their worth because they confuse love with suffering. They think enduring criticism, manipulation, or neglect is a sign of loyalty or commitment. They tell themselves, this is just how relationships are, or I have to tolerate this because I care. But love that diminishes you is not love. It is a chain that holds you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Understanding your worth means acknowledging that you do not have to carry that chain. You have the right to walk away from what harms you and to pursue what nourishes your spirit. Understanding your worth also changes the way you interact with the world. When you know your value, you no longer compete for attention or approval. You no longer feel pressured to meet impossible expectations just to be accepted. Instead, you attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your true self. People who respect and appreciate you are naturally drawn to your presence, and the ones who cannot respect your value gradually fade away. This is not rejection. It is alignment. It is alignment. It is life guiding you toward what is right for you and away from what is wrong. It is important to remember that understanding your worth is a practice, not a one-time realization. There will be moments when self-doubt creeps in, when past hurts make you question yourself, and when toxic influences try to pull you back into patterns of neglect or harm. In those moments, remind yourself of your inherent value. Remind yourself that no one else has the authority to diminish your light. Your worth is constant, unshakable, and not dependent on anyone's opinion. Ultimately, understanding your worth is a radical act of self-love. It frees you from the need to seek validation from those who cannot give it. It allows you to live authentically, speak your truth, and prioritize relationships that uplift rather than harm you. When you understand your worth, letting go of those who hurt you becomes not a painful act of abandonment, but a conscious step toward honoring yourself, your peace, and your potential. Breaking the cycle of pain is one of the most courageous decisions you can make in your life. So often we find ourselves repeating patterns of hurt without even realizing it. We stay in relationships that drain us, tolerate behavior that diminishes us, and forgive actions that bind us again and again, hoping that things will somehow change. But when we allow these patterns to continue, we are not showing strength or love. We are simply prolonging suffering. Recognizing the cycle and choosing to break it is an act of profound self-respect and empowerment. Pain is a way of teaching us lessons, but when it becomes repetitive, it is no longer a teacher, it is a trap. We may think that staying in these situations demonstrates loyalty or patience, but in reality, it is the repetition of harm that keeps us from growth, happiness, and inner peace. Each time we allow the same hurtful behavior to continue, we reinforce the message that our boundaries, our feelings, and our worth are negotiable. Over time, this diminishes our confidence, our joy, and even our capacity to trust ourselves. Breaking the cycle means refusing to be a passive participant in your own suffering and taking responsibility for protecting your heart. The challenge is that breaking the cycle is rarely easy. It often requires difficult decisions, uncomfortable confrontations, and the courage to walk away from people or situations we have invested in emotionally. It may mean ending a friendship that no longer serves your well-being or limiting contact with someone whose behavior repeatedly hurts you. It may even require letting go of expectations we have held for years about how people should behave or how relationships should be. But the moment we commit to breaking the cycle, we take a significant step toward freedom. Breaking the cycle also involves understanding that pain is not a reflection of your inadequacy. Many of us stay in harmful patterns because we internalize the hurt. We believe we are unworthy of better treatment or that we somehow invited the pain. This is never true. Pain inflicted by others is their responsibility, not yours. By breaking the cycle, you reclaim the narrative of your life. You refuse to carry the weight of others' inability to treat you well. And you choose to surround yourself with people and experiences that uplift rather than diminish. Another important aspect of breaking the cycle of pain is forgiveness, not as a way to excuse behavior, but as a way to release the emotional hold it has over you. Forgiving someone does not mean returning to the pattern or tolerating harm again. Instead, it allows you to detach from the hurt and move forward without bitterness or resentment. It creates space in your heart for healing, growth, and healthier connections. Ultimately, breaking the cycle of pain is an act of courage, self-love, and clarity. It is the conscious decision to no longer participate in repetitive hurt, to no longer allow your heart to be a playground for others' negativity. It empowers you to set boundaries, to value yourself, and to create a life where your emotional well-being comes first. It is one of the most liberating steps toward happiness because it is in breaking the cycle that we discover that we are not victims of circumstances. We are architects of our own peace, joy, and fulfillment. Releasing guilt and obligation is one of the most liberating acts you can perform for yourself. Often we hold on to relationships or situations that hurt us simply because we feel responsible for someone else's feelings, or because we believe that walking away would make us selfish. We carry the weight of I should or you must, even when it comes at the expense of our own well-being. This invisible burden slowly erodes our happiness and peace. The truth is, you are not responsible for anyone else's happiness at the cost of your own. Your first duty is to yourself, to protect your heart, and to honor your own emotional health. Guilt is a powerful emotion. It can make you question every decision and doubt your right to set boundaries. We often confuse compassion with obligation, thinking that enduring pain or tolerating behavior that hurts us is proof of love or loyalty. But enduring harm out of guilt does not help anyone. It only deepens the pain and perpetuates unhealthy patterns. Letting go of guilt means realizing that love and loyalty do not require self-sacrifice that harms your spirit. True love allows you to honor yourself, and true loyalty means being honest about what is right for you. Obligation, too, can be a silent chain. Many of us feel bound to people because of past kindness, shared history, or promises we once made. While honoring commitments is important, continuing to invest in relationships that consistently hurt you is not honoring anyone. It is depleting yourself. You have the right to reevaluate these obligations and decide which ones truly serve your life and which ones have become harmful weight. Releasing obligation is not cruelty, it is wisdom. It is choosing life, energy, and joy over patterns of pain and unnecessary responsibility for things that are not yours to carry. Releasing guilt and obligation also requires self-awareness and courage. It means confronting the discomfort of disappointing someone, of going against expectations, and of setting limits. It means acknowledging that saying "I know" is not a sin, but a declaration of self-respect. It means trusting that the right people will understand, and those who cannot respect your boundaries were never meant to be anchors in your life. Holding on to guilt or obligation is like trying to row a boat while dragging heavy stones behind you. It slows you down, exhausts you, and prevents you from moving forward. Letting go of them is the moment you lift those stones and feel the freedom to navigate your life with clarity and energy. Another crucial aspect of releasing guilt is self-compassion. Many of us hold on to toxic relationships because we fear being judged for leaving, or we replay our decisions endlessly, asking, "Am I doing the right thing?" The answer lies in your inner truth. If something consistently harms you, your peace matters more than anyone's comfort. Compassion for yourself allows you to release guilt without resentment, to understand that choosing your well-being is not selfish. It is necessary. Ultimately, releasing guilt and obligation is an act of empowerment. It is choosing to live by your own values rather than being tethered to the expectations or manipulations of others. It is freeing yourself from the invisible chains that hold your heart hostage. Must I hold your heart hostage? When you release guilt and obligation, you reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your right to a life filled with relationships, experiences, and moments that uplift and nourish you. It is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself, because only when you let go of unnecessary burdens can you truly open your heart to joy, peace, and growth. Focusing on healing is one of the most powerful steps you can take after experiencing hurt, betrayal, or repeated pain. Often, when someone keeps hurting us, our instinct is to fix the other person, to explain ourselves, or to try harder to maintain the relationship. We spend so much energy on what is outside of us that we forget the most important work is the inner work, healing our own heart, healing our own heart. Healing is not about forgetting, excusing, or pretending the pain didn't happen. Healing is about reclaiming your strength, your peace, and your ability to love and trust again without carrying the burden of past wounds. Healing requires intention. It requires looking inward and asking the difficult questions. Where did this pain affect me the most? How has it shaped my behavior, my thoughts, or my expectations of others? What patterns am I repeating that continue to allow harm into my life? Facing these questions is uncomfortable because it forces us to confront vulnerability, shame, or unresolved emotions. But discomfort is the gateway to transformation. Every tear shed, every memory revisited, and every reflection on past hurt is a step toward freeing yourself from its grip. Freeing yourself from its grip. One of the most essential aspects of healing is self-compassion. We often blame ourselves for being hurt, for trusting the wrong people, or for not seeing the warning signs earlier. But the truth is, being hurt is part of being human. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend who has experienced pain. It is allowing yourself to acknowledge the hurt, grieve it fully, and reassure yourself that you are worthy of care, love, and respect. Without self-compassion, healing is incomplete because guilt and self-criticism can prolong pain and prevent growth. Focusing on healing also involves letting go of the need to control the other person or the situation. We often think that closure must come from external validation, an apology, an explanation, or a reconciliation. While these can be meaningful, they are not necessary for healing. True healing comes from within. It comes from the choice to stop reliving the pain, to release resentment, and to redirect your energy toward rebuilding your emotional and mental strength. When you take responsibility for your healing, you no longer allow the past to dictate your present. You reclaim your power and redefine your life on your terms. Another important aspect of focusing on healing is patience. Healing is not a linear process. It does not follow a schedule. Some days you may feel strong and resilient, and other days the wounds may feel raw again. This is natural. This is natural. Allow yourself the grace to move at your own pace, understanding that even small steps toward emotional recovery are progress. Celebrate these victories, because every moment you choose healing over hurt is a triumph of self-love and courage. Ultimately, focusing on healing is about creating a life where your heart is whole again. It is about nurturing your mind, body, and spirit, seeking out experiences, people, and practices that restore energy and bring joy. Healing is the bridge between being wounded and being free. It allows you to let go of people who hurt you not out of bitterness, but out of love for yourself. When you focus on healing, you do not simply recover. You grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of living fully, loving authentically, and embracing life without the weight of past pain. Setting boundaries is one of the most essential and transformative acts of self-respect you can practice in life. Many of us struggle with boundaries because we confuse them with selfishness or rejection. We fear that saying a no will hurt others or make us seem uncaring. We worry about conflict or disappointment and end up tolerating behavior that drains us, diminishes our self-esteem, or leaves us feeling resentful. But boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about defining what is acceptable and what is not, and protecting your emotional, mental, and even physical well-being. They are the invisible lines that safeguard your peace and preserve your energy, allowing you to live a life that honors your worth. Boundaries are especially important when dealing with people who consistently hurt or undermine you. Without clear limits, it is easy to get caught in cycles of manipulation, criticism, or neglect. Toxic patterns persist because they are unchecked, and often we unwittingly allow them to continue out of fear, guilt, or a misplaced sense of responsibility. Setting boundaries sends a clear message. You will no longer tolerate behavior that diminishes your happiness or disrespects your values. It is not about controlling others. It is about asserting your right to live without unnecessary pain. Learning to set boundaries requires self-awareness. It starts with identifying what behaviors, words, or situations are harmful to you. Ask yourself honestly, what makes me feel drained, anxious, or unworthy? When do I feel my energy being sapped? Once you recognize these triggers, you can begin to define the limits necessary to protect your well-being. These boundaries may be emotional, such as refusing to engage in manipulative conversations, physical, such as limiting time with people who consistently cause stress, or digital, such as reducing exposure to negativity online. Each boundary is a step toward reclaiming your power and choosing environments that support your growth. Setting boundaries also requires courage. It is not always easy to communicate your limits, especially when dealing with people who resist change or react defensively. You may face pushback, guilt trips, or even anger. But remember, setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. By maintaining your limits, you teach others how to treat you. And over time, people who truly value and respect you will honor those boundaries naturally. Those who cannot are revealing their incompatibility with your well-being, and letting them go is part of the process of protecting your peace. Another crucial aspect of boundaries is consistency. A boundary is only effective if it is upheld reliably. Giving in occasionally or making exceptions for the sake of temporary comfort undermines your own self-respect and confuses others. Consistency reinforces the message that your well-being is non-negotiable. It is a declaration to yourself and the world that your peace, values, and emotional health are priorities, not optional. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of empowerment and love for yourself and for others. It allows you to interact with the world from a place of strength rather than fear, to engage in relationships that are mutually respectful, and to step away from patterns that cause harm. Boundaries do not isolate you, they free you. They free you. They are the framework for a life where your heart is safe, your energy is preserved, and your spirit can thrive. By learning to set boundaries, you create the conditions for true happiness, genuine connection, and lasting inner peace, proving to yourself that valuing your well-being is not negotiable. It is essential. Embracing self-love is one of the most transformative decisions you can make in life, especially when dealing with people who repeatedly hurt you. Too often we look for validation, affection, and acceptance from others, believing that our worth is determined by how much we are tolerated or appreciated. We bend, compromise, and even sacrifice our values to gain approval or avoid rejection. But self-love teaches us that our value is inherent, that we are worthy simply because we exist, and that no one's actions should make us question our right to respect, happiness, or peace. Self-love is not selfishness, and it is not indulgence. It is the conscious decision to treat yourself with the same care, respect, and compassion that you would offer someone you deeply care about. It is choosing to honor your emotions, protect your boundaries, and prioritize your well-being without guilt. When you embrace self-love, you recognize that enduring hurtful behavior or toxic patterns does not demonstrate strength. It demonstrates a lack of regard for your own heart. It means that walking away from people who consistently harm you is not abandonment. It is an act of profound love toward yourself. One of the challenges of self-love is overcoming the beliefs and conditioning that tell us otherwise. Many of us have grown up with messages that we must always put others first, that self-sacrifice is noble, or that maintaining relationships at all costs is virtuous. While kindness and compassion are indeed virtues, they should never come at the expense of your emotional or mental health. Self-love is the balance point. It allows you to care for others while still protecting yourself from harm. It is the understanding that your needs, feelings, and dreams are equally important as anyone else's. Embracing self-love also transforms the way you perceive relationships. When you value yourself, you no longer tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or repeated hurt. You stop making excuses for others' behavior and start seeking connections that are nurturing, supportive, and respectful. Self-love is the lens through which you see clearly. People who consistently harm you are no longer confusing or controlling forces in your life. They are signals guiding you toward environments and relationships that uplift and nourish your spirit. Another essential aspect of self-love is the cultivation of inner strength. It empowers you to walk away without regret, to release toxic influences without guilt, and to prioritize your peace over the fear of loneliness or judgment. This strength is quiet but profound. It allows you to make decisions that serve your long-term well-being rather than being trapped in short-term comfort or fear. It is through self-love that you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your ability to live authentically. Finally, embracing self-love is a lifelong journey, not a one-time realization. It requires patience, practice, and mindfulness. It is about consistently reminding yourself that you are enough, that your worth is not defined by others' actions, and that protecting your heart is an essential part of your growth. When you fully embrace self-love, letting go of those who hurt you becomes a natural and empowering step. It is no longer a painful act of separation, but a celebration of your own value, a declaration that your happiness, peace, and well-being are non-negotiable. Opening space for positive relationships is one of the most powerful ways to transform your life. After experiencing hurt or toxicity, often we hold on to people who consistently hurt us out of habit, fear, or even loyalty. We convince ourselves that the familiarity of pain is better than the uncertainty of change. But the reality is that when we allow toxic connections to dominate our lives, we inadvertently block the arrival of relationships that can truly nurture, uplift, and inspire. Every moment spent investing energy in harmful people is a moment lost for building bonds that bring joy, understanding, and mutual respect. Recognizing this is the first step toward creating the space necessary for growth and genuine connection. Opening space begins with intention. Opening space begins with intention. It requires you to consciously assess your current relationships and acknowledge which ones contribute positively to your life and which ones drain or harm you. Positive relationships are characterized by mutual respect, kindness, support, and authenticity. These are the people who encourage you to be your best self without judgment, who celebrate your successes without envy, and who stand by you in difficult times without criticism or manipulation. When you identify such relationships and prioritize them, you begin to experience a profound shift in your energy, mindset, and overall well-being. Letting go of harmful relationships is essential for making this space. Many of us fear that walking away from toxic connections will leave a void, but in reality, it creates a fertile ground for new and healthier bonds to grow. Just as a garden cannot flourish if weeds overtake the soil, our hearts cannot fully open to love, support, and meaningful connection if they are crowded with negativity, resentment, or emotional fatigue. By consciously releasing relationships that consistently hurt you, you invite people into your life who genuinely care, respect your boundaries, and contribute to your growth rather than diminish it. Creating space for positive relationships also requires patience and discernment. Not every new connection will be genuine, and not every familiar face deserves a place in your inner circle. This is why it is important to observe how people make you feel, how they respond to your boundaries, and whether they inspire growth or perpetuate negativity. Over time, your intuition will become a reliable guide, helping you recognize those who truly belong in your life and those who do not. Another aspect of opening space is the readiness to be vulnerable and authentic. Positive relationships thrive when both parties are willing to show up fully as themselves. This means being honest about your feelings, expressing gratitude, asking for support when needed, and forgiving imperfection without compromising your peace. By embracing authenticity, you not only attract the right people, but also strengthen your connection with your own self, which is the foundation for any healthy relationship. Ultimately, opening space for positive relationships is not just about the people you invite into your life. It is about the environment you create for yourself. It is about surrounding yourself with love, respect, and encouragement while letting go of what diminishes you. It is about making room for connection that uplifts, energizes, and inspires you. By doing so, you honor your worth, protect your peace, and ensure that your heart has the room it deserves for growth, joy, and authentic companionship. In this space, life becomes richer, relationships more meaningful, and your journey toward happiness and fulfillment more attainable. Courage is the key to letting go of people who keep hurting you. It is often said that the hardest battles we face are not fought in the outside world, but within ourselves. The decision to walk away from someone who has caused pain, disappointment, or repeated harm is never easy. It challenges our habits, tests our loyalties, and confronts our deepest fears. Fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, and fear of regret often hold us captive in relationships that no longer serve us. But courage is what allows us to see beyond these fears, to act despite them, and to reclaim the life and peace we deserve. Courage begins with honesty, being willing to acknowledge the truth of your situation, even when it is uncomfortable or painful. It is recognizing that repeated hurt is not love, that manipulation is not care, and that disrespect is not a reflection of your worth. This honesty is often the first act of bravery because it requires us to look clearly at a reality we may have been avoiding for months or even years. Denial may feel safer in the short term, but it prolongs suffering. Courage is about stepping into clarity, acknowledging the truth, and accepting the responsibility to act on it. Taking courageous action also means embracing vulnerability. Walking away from someone who has been a part of your life can feel like risking loss, criticism, or even failure. Yet vulnerability is not weakness. It is a testament to your strength. It allows you to confront your fears head on, to trust in your capacity to heal, and to step into a future that aligns with your values and well-being. Courage and vulnerability go hand in hand, for only when we are willing to expose our hearts to discomfort can we truly protect them from further harm. Another aspect of courage is perseverance. Letting go is rarely a single act. It is often a process. The heart may fluctuate between hope, guilt, anger, and sadness. Memories, shared history, and attachments can pull you back toward old patterns. Courage is what keeps you steady in the face of these emotional storms. It is the inner voice that reminds you why you are choosing yourself, why your peace matters, and why repeating cycles of hurt is no longer an option. Without courage, it is easy to compromise your boundaries and allow the past to dictate the present. Courage also manifests in self-trust. It is the confidence that you are capable of making decisions that honor your heart even if they are difficult. It is the knowledge that you have the resilience to rebuild, to heal, and to find joy again, regardless of what others think or say. When you act with courage, you no longer seek permission to protect yourself. You grant yourself that permission freely and unapologetically. Ultimately, courage is the key because it transforms fear into freedom, turns hesitation into action, and it replaces pain with empowerment. Choosing courage allows you to release the weight of toxic relationships, reclaim your energy, and step into a life where your heart is safe, your boundaries respected, and your happiness prioritized. Without courage, peace remains distant. With courage, it becomes attainable. Every act of bravery, every moment you choose to honor yourself over fear, is a step toward a life filled with love, authenticity, and fulfillment. Courage does not remove the challenges of letting go, but it gives you the strength to face them, the clarity to move forward, and the confidence to believe that you are deserving of relationships that uplift and inspire rather than hurt and diminish. Trusting the process of letting go is one of the most essential, yet often overlooked, aspects of emotional freedom. When we decide to release people who hurt us, it is natural to feel fear, uncertainty, and even regret. Our minds may question the decision, replay memories of shared times, and doubt whether we are making the right choice. The heart, bound by attachment and habit, may resist the separation, clinging to familiarity even if it brings pain. Trusting the process means allowing yourself to move forward despite these doubts, knowing that each step you take toward letting go is a step toward healing, peace, and self-respect. Letting go is rarely instantaneous. It is not a single decision made once and never revisited. Rather, it is a journey of small conscious choices that reinforce your commitment to your own well-being. Each time you choose not to engage in a toxic cycle, each time you honor a boundary, and each time you focus on your own growth rather than the approval of others, you are actively participating in this process. Trusting the process requires patience because healing and transformation cannot be rushed. Just as a seed takes time to sprout, grow, and bloom, your emotional recovery and liberation unfold gradually. One of the challenges in trust is managing the emotional turbulence that comes with letting go. There will be moments of sadness, nostalgia, or even anger. There may be days when you question yourself or long for what was familiar, even if it was harmful. These feelings are natural. They are part of being human. Trusting the process means recognizing that these emotions are temporary and do not define your worth or validity of your choice. Each wave of emotion is a reminder that you are alive, sensitive, and capable of growth. By embracing these feelings without being overwhelmed, you strengthen your resilience and deepen your understanding of yourself. Trusting the process also involves faith, not in others, but in yourself. It is believing that you are capable of creating a life that honors your heart, even if the path is uncertain. It is acknowledging that letting go is not the end, but the beginning of a journey toward emotional freedom, self-love, and healthier relationships. By trusting the process, you release the need for immediate validation, closure, or explanation from those who hurt you. You understand that your growth does not depend on others' actions, but on your willingness to prioritize your peace and happiness. Another crucial element of trusting the process is embracing the lessons embedded in your experiences. Painful relationships, challenging encounters, and moments of betrayal are not meaningless. They teach discernment, resilience, and self-awareness. By letting go and trusting the process, you honor these lessons rather than dwelling on resentment or regret. You allow yourself to emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of cultivating the kind of relationships that nurture and inspire rather than hurt and diminish. Ultimately, trusting the process of letting go is an act of surrender and courage. It is surrendering to the flow of life, acknowledging that you cannot control every outcome, but you can control your response. It is having the courage to step into uncertainty with faith that your heart, once unburdened, will find peace and joy. The process is not always easy, and there will be moments of doubt. But each step you take affirms your commitment to yourself. Trusting it allows you to release not just people who hurt you, but also the fear, guilt, and resistance that hold you back from experiencing true freedom. When you trust the process, you trust yourself. And that trust is the foundation of lasting peace, happiness, and emotional liberation. Focusing on growth rather than revenge is one of the most liberating decisions you can make after being hurt. When someone repeatedly causes us pain, it is natural to feel anger, resentment, and the desire to retaliate. Our minds may replay the hurtful events over and over, imagining ways to get even or make the other person feel the same pain we have experienced. While these feelings are normal and human, holding on to them keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity. Choosing growth instead of revenge is an act of self-mastery. It is the conscious decision to invest your energy into becoming stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled, rather than being consumed by bitterness and retribution. Focusing on growth begins with understanding that revenge does not heal. Acting on anger or trying to hurt someone in return may give a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but it never addresses the deeper wounds in your heart. In fact, revenge often prolongs suffering, keeps your mind occupied with negativity, and prevents you from moving forward. Growth, on the other hand, redirects your energy toward yourself, your goals, and your personal development. It is a proactive choice to turn pain into a catalyst for positive change rather than a fuel for destructive behaviors. Growth also requires introspection. It is about examining what this experience has taught you about yourself, your boundaries, and your values. Each hurtful encounter can reveal lessons about resilience, discernment, and self-respect. By reflecting on these lessons, you transform pain into wisdom, allowing yourself to navigate future relationships with clarity and confidence. Growth is not about forgetting or excusing the harm done to you. It is about using that harm as a stepping stone to build a stronger, more grounded version of yourself. Another key aspect of focusing on growth is the practice of forgiveness, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own peace. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation or condoning behavior. It simply means letting go of the emotional charge that keeps you tied to the past. By releasing resentment, you free your mind and heart to focus on opportunities, experiences, and relationships that genuinely uplift and nourish you. Forgiveness is an essential part of growth because it allows you to move forward without the weight of anger and bitterness slowing you down. Focusing on growth also means prioritizing self-improvement and nurturing your own potential. This could involve developing new skills, pursuing passions, cultivating healthier habits, or building supportive relationships. By investing in yourself, you reclaim the energy and focus that was once consumed by hurt. Growth turns the story of pain into a story of empowerment, where the protagonist is not a victim of circumstances, but an architect of their own life. Ultimately, focusing on growth over revenge is an act of courage and wisdom. It requires patience, self-discipline, and the willingness to rise above immediate emotions in pursuit of long-term fulfillment. It is a reminder that your life is too valuable to waste on grudges or retaliation. Every moment you devote to your personal growth is a moment spent reclaiming your power, reinforcing your worth, and creating a life filled with meaning, purpose, and joy. By choosing growth, You demonstrate to yourself that your happiness, peace, and success are far more important than the fleeting satisfaction of hurting someone who once caused you pain. Growth is freedom. It is the ultimate response to hurt, the highest form of resilience, and the pathway to a life fully lived. Living freely after letting go is the ultimate reward for choosing yourself over pain, for prioritizing your peace, and for courageously stepping away from relationships that consistently hurt you. Letting go is not merely about removing toxic people from your life. It is about creating the space, clarity, and emotional freedom to live authentically and joyfully. When you release what no longer serves you, you give yourself permission to embrace life fully, without the weight of resentment, fear, or lingering attachments that tie your heart to the past. True freedom begins the moment you decide that your happiness matters more than holding on to someone who diminishes it. Living freely requires a mindset shift. It is about moving from scarcity to abundance, from thinking that you must cling to every connection out of fear of loneliness, to realizing that there is more in life waiting for you than the pain you are leaving behind. When you embrace this perspective, you begin to understand that life is too short to remain trapped in negativity, and that every ending, no matter how difficult, creates the opportunity for new beginnings. Freedom is not found in revenge, in dwelling on the past, or in clinging to relationships that harm you. It is found in the deliberate choice to step into life with clarity, courage, and self-respect. Part of living freely is trusting yourself and your journey. After letting go, it is natural to feel uncertainty or doubt, questioning whether you have made the right decision. But freedom comes when you affirm that your choice was an act of self-love and wisdom. You begin to trust that every step you take toward peace is a step toward growth, that every boundary you enforce strengthens your emotional resilience, and that every act of self-care nurtures your spirit. This trust allows you to move forward without constantly looking back, to embrace life's opportunities with openness rather than hesitation, and to approach relationships with clarity and intention rather than fear or dependency. Living freely also means embracing joy and cultivating positivity. When you are no longer weighed down by toxic influences, you have the mental, emotional, and spiritual space to explore what truly matters to you. You can invest in meaningful connections, pursue passions that ignite your soul, and engage in experiences that bring fulfillment and growth. Freedom is not passive. It is an active choice to live intentionally, to surround yourself with people and situations that uplift and inspire, and to nurture your heart in ways that honor your true self. Another critical element of freedom is resilience. Letting go is not always easy, and emotional scars may remain for a time. Living freely does not mean pretending that the pain never existed. It means acknowledging it, learning from it, and refusing to let it dictate the rest of your life. You carry the lessons, but you release the weight. And in doing so, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your capacity to love, trust, and embrace life fully. Ultimately, living freely after letting go is an act of liberation. It is choosing yourself, your peace, and your joy over fear, attachment, and pain. It is walking forward with courage, clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose. By letting go of those who hurt you, you do not lose anything of value. You gain everything: freedom to love without fear, to grow without limitation, and to live a life that is fully yours. Freedom is the highest form of self-respect, the truest expression of self-love, and the most profound gift you can give yourself. When you live freely, you step into a world of endless possibility, unburdened by the past, and fully aligned with your heart's deepest desires.